Wow, it is actually really shiny, almost like liquidy shiny. What's going on, guys? Eric here and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to do a product overview of VVivid's new clear holographic headlight and taillight tint. So this video is intended to be a product review and overview. It's not a how to apply this to your vehicle type of video. I'll be doing that a little bit later, but for now we're going to be taking a look at some of the properties of this new vinyl that VVivid has just recently released. I'll go over what you get in your package when you order your vinyl, some of the adhesion properties, some of the other properties of the vinyl itself, like having a plastic protective cap, a different kind of backing paper liner. We'll take a look at the air egress pattern, how well it slides on high surface energy substrates as well as low surface energy substrates, and the air egress of the vinyl itself, as well as its repositionability. One of the claims VVivid has on their website for this vinyl is that it applies just like regular vinyl wrap, and so we'll kind of take a look at, does that claim lay true? And so with that, let's go ahead and get started by looking up close at the vinyl itself to take a look at some of these different properties of this new holographic clear ultra gloss headlight and taillight tint. So when you get the vinyl, and you can order it through Amazon, I'll have links in the description, it'll come in a shrink wrapped package like this, and you can order them in sizes of 16 inches by 5 feet long, which should be sufficiently long enough and wide enough to fit at least a pair of headlights, and depending on your car, a pair of taillights as well. Once you've taken off the shrink wrap package, it does just have a informational sheet attached to it, which kind of gives you the application instructions, and it's pretty standard: prepping and cleaning, make sure you have it sized properly, peeling and sticking, and then some application instructions as well. This video is not intended, as I noted earlier, to be a how to install video, more so than this is just a what do you get, a product overview video. And so moving on with that, now that I've taken off the shrink wrap, you can see it has just your standard circle clear piece of tape that holds this together. And this does fall on the Ultra Gloss series of films that VVivid released last year or late 2020, I believe. And you can see as I open it up, the holographic laser effect does come through really nicely on this, and this is still with the plastic protective cap on it. Again, this does ship with a plastic protective cap on the outside to protect the finish in transport, but you can also keep it on for most of the application itself. And so this is that protective plastic cap, and you can see it's actually even shinier than with the cap on. But this is a really cool rainbow holographic effect. All right, so it does have the protective cap. You'll notice that on this, the backing paper is not a backing paper, it's a backing plastic now. With this new Ultra Gloss, it's a new plastic. And I can kind of see and feel that the air release pattern is different than standard previous VVivid vinyls. This one kind of has you may be able to see in the camera, very small diamond-like patterning on it. Other VVivid air release channel patterns are more of a kind of a dinosaur skin, and I'll show that to you in a comparison here to another VVivid clear headlight tint. And so the air egress pattern is kind of like looks like a micro air egress pattern versus a regular traditional bigger air egress pattern. And so that might be a consideration when you're installing the vinyl itself. As I touch the adhesive, it's quite low tack. My fingers are barely sticking to it. And I know that with the latest versions of their vinyls, they've gotten to more of a low tack style, initial low tack style adhesive that then when you apply pressure and heat will cause the adhesive to flow harder. So before we do any kind of adhesion test, let's take a look at the previous or a different version of VVivid's holographic clear headlight and taillight tint, which is this here, which is a holographic hex tint. Previously, the only clear version holographic clear headlight and taillight tint that VVivid had that I knew of is this here, which has the hexagonal pattern in it. With this just clear itself with no hexagonal pattern is new for this past year, at least, or late 2021. So this is the holographic hex clear headlight and taillight tint that VVivid released early 2021, maybe late 2020. The back paper does say XPO, but it's actually in their Premium Plus line. And then this is the new one is Premium Plus Ultra Gloss, and so this is just regular gloss. As we saw on this vinyl, the air release pattern was a diamond style shape or a micro square shape, but also had a plastic backing paper. The previous generation, or the previous version, or this version at least, has a traditional silicone paper backing paper. But also, and you may be able to see it in the camera, you kind of see the air release pattern on the paper. It looks like dinosaur skin is the best way I can describe it. But also, if you look at on the vinyl itself, you can see, hopefully the light shines on it properly, that the air release pattern is also that dinosaur looking skin pattern. It does work really well in my experience, but comparatively speaking, between the two, this new pattern on this ultra clear is quite different and much smaller than in the previous iteration of their clear headlight and tail light tint. Okay, so now let's take a look at how this might apply. I'm not going to do an application on a vehicle on this video. Again, it's an overview video, not a how-to video. But let's take a look at how the adhesive and how positionable and repositionable this vinyl is. And I have two surfaces here. This is just a glazed ceramic tile. It's a super smooth glossy surface, which is like what you would have on new automotive paint. It's a high surface energy. It's really smooth, it's really glossy, and so vinyl adhesives tend to stick to it really well and grab onto it really nicely. And so one of the things with low tack is how hard does it grab onto a high surface energy substrate like this, which would be similar to glossy automotive paint. This is just a corner shelf for a house. It's smooth surface as well, but it is kind of a satin-like surface, so it's fairly low energy relative to something that's super glossy and super shiny like this tile. And so let's take a look at how well or how this adhesive reacts to two different substrate types. And so we'll start with this, applying this to the high surface energy substrate, in this case the tile. And so I'm going to go ahead and peel the backing paper from the tile. And so again, this is very low tack. As I'm touching it, my finger is not sticking to it at all. It falls right off my finger. I can't pick it up. Other brands, you do something like this, it sticks to your finger. And so I'm going to go ahead and see, can it slide on the tile? No, it's not sliding. It's not really. It's kind of grabbing onto it, but again, this is a high surface energy substrate, and so you can see it's kind of tugging and pulling that off my finger. But even though it's grabbing on the high surface energy substrate, if I peel it off, it peels off with little to no effort at all. So if I actually apply it, let's take a look at how this would be. Just placing it on there, I'm going to grab my squeegee, and I still have the protective plastic cap on this, and I'm going to press this down and apply this to the tile. Make sure I got it pressed on really well, like you would do with if you're applying this to the automotive headlight or tail light itself. And so it's on there nicely, it's on smooth and cleanly. But how will it be able to peel off? What's the repositionability of it on this high surface energy like this? And so it does peel off fairly easily. Had a little bit of resistance to me, and that's fine. But look, as I try to reposition, as I tack it back on again, it's very low tack. But while it was on, it did peel off fairly easily. So if you do apply this to the headlight or tail light that you're applying it to, and you add, at least for now, pressure, it will stick on very well. Looks like I got a couple things that popped off here underneath my vinyl when I peeled it off. Probably chunks of the tile bits on the side that came off here. So anyway, so apply it back down. Again, this does have, I applied this with the protective plastic cap on it, and so I'm going to go ahead and peel off that protective plastic cap. And as you saw, when I applied it with just pressure, it was on there pretty good, but it did peel off pretty easily. And what I'm going to do next is apply heat to it after I take off the protective plastic cap. So I've peeled it off, as you saw. I'm going to give it a little bit of heat to get the adhesive flowing, activated and flowing. I'm just using a torch. If you don't have a torch, use a heat gun. If you don't have a heat gun, use a hair dryer. Just be aware that a hair dryer does move a lot of air. So you can see I'm heating this. And you saw just about a minute ago when I tried to peel it off, when it was just a cold application, it did peel off with a little bit of resistance. Now that I've heated it, press it down, I'm heating it. Press it down, and that basically will activate the adhesive to get it flowing. If I try to peel this off, it is on much harder. So put it back down, reapply. And so just like most vinyl wraps, it just, once you heat it, it does apply harder because the adhesive does begin to flow. And it grabs on and bonds to the surface a little bit better. Alright, so just heating it. One of the things that VVivid says on their website about this is it applies just like regular vinyl wrap, and so far that's it's acting just like regular dry application vinyl wrap versus, say, a clear headlight and taillight tint that is a wet application, where that's, as it says, it's a wet application, and so you'd have to use a soap and water or alcohol and water solution. This one you do not need to. So let's take a look at how well this applies and the adhesion properties of this on a lower surface energy substrate like this corner shelf, which does have a smooth surface that is more of a satin, almost matte finish to it. So I've got my piece that should be big enough or near big enough to cover this entirely. Alright, and so while I've got this down here, I'm going to go ahead and peel the backing paper off, or the black backing liner, plastic liner now, off of the vinyl. And so here, since it is a lower surface energy and a low tack adhesive, you can see that it is slidable on a surface that is low surface energy like this. Alright, as far as initial tack, it's probably going to just come right off. Tap it down, comes right off, comes right off. Again, low surface energy, so that's not to be unexpected or as far as being able to come off very easily. So let's apply it with some pressure, like you would applying regular vinyl wrap to a car. Give it a good amount of pressure, always squeegeeing firmly with overlapping strokes. Okay. And again, the plastic protective cap is still on it. Alright, so it's on there pretty good. I did give it a pretty good firm amount of pressure. Just commenting here, this looks really cool with the holographic rainbow effect. But how does it peel off as far as on a low surface energy or lower surface energy substrate like this? Should peel off really easily, which lends to its repositionability, and it's acting like regular vinyl wrap. And so you can see, peeled right off, no issue. Two fingers down here, just peels right off. Alright, again, low surface energy substrate, so it should peel off really easily. Regular vinyl wrap, whether it's this one or any other brand, will peel off fairly easily on a low substrate, low surface energy substrate, which is why it's always recommended not to apply it to things like textured plastic surfaces and things like that. So I've applied it again with some heat, or with some pressure, and now I'm going to add some heat to it to get the adhesive flowing. Just use my torch. Actually, before I do that, let me peel off the protective plastic cap so I don't accidentally melt it onto the vinyl. Peel that off. Reveal the super ultra glossy look to it, which it's really nice. Looks really shiny and slick. Almost looks wet. I don't know if the camera's doing it any justice, but this looks like it's wet. So, give it some heat. And you can see some bubbles that have formed up that didn't apply quite well. So let's test out some air regress. Just push it down, presses right out. These little bubbles are pressing right out. Give it a little bit of, another application here to smooth it down. So I gave it some heat to get the adhesive flowing. So let's take a look at how easily or not it will now pull off. And it's on definitely harder than it was before. And you can see some of the lines, stress lines, as I was pulling it where it stopped and I was pulling on the vinyl. So give it a little bit of heat here. Clean that up. And you can see those lines disappeared and clean up just like regular vinyl does when you pull it up and say you get like a wrinkle or whatever on it. And then, made some lines there. Give it just a touch of heat, let it cool just for a second, and then I'm going to go ahead and reapply it. Again, overlapping strokes with good amount of pressure. So this applies just like regular vinyl wrap, as you can see. Looks really nice, super shiny, really clear. Well, at least clear on this white, and it's really kind of got a wet, glossy look with a really cool rainbow effect. So again, the low surface energy plus a low initial attack make it very easy for repositioning, whether it's on a low surface energy substrate or even on a high surface energy substrate like this. So let's do one more test here, and that's going to test the air regress properties of this, meaning how well can bubbles come out of it, either being pressed out or maneuvered out. So I've gone ahead and peeled this back off, and I'm going to try to lay it down to form bubbles if I can. It looks like I got that. Okay, so I got several bubbles all over, and hopefully you can see that in the camera here. You can see big bubble right there, bubbles over here, and there's a bubble that kind of goes off the edge there, maybe a couple smaller ones here. So I've got bubbles all over this now. And so how does the air regress work? So if you're applying regular vinyl, a lot of times you could just push the vinyl or the bubbles out, and you can see I'm doing that down here to this one, but that's because it does have an air exit as it goes off the edge. Okay, what about the ones that are trapped? And I'll seal this off right in the middle here. So I got two bubbles kind of in made two little islands here, one there and one there. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. And so how does this work as far as the air regress goes? With a micro pattern, you may have to go a little slower as far as pushing these bubbles around. You can hear some of the air squeezing out as it moves along to the edge. Here's a smaller bubble that's kind of the size of my thumb, so I'm going to press that down slowly. I could feel the air moving out of it and going elsewhere, and the bubble is gone. Smooth it down. So it works pretty close to, if not the same as the regular air regress properties of their other VVivid line or any other vinyl that I've really worked with, AV3M. Let me chop this bubble into a couple parts here so you can see that one there and one on there. So let's see if I can, how this works as far as moving the air. Okay, so you can see the bubble is getting tighter and harder now, so I could tell that moving it that fast, it doesn't, with a big trapped bubble in the middle, it's a little bit harder. So now I got it to a part where I can just press it down, and it's gone. And there's another bubble there actually that I see. Hopefully you can see that right there. And I'm gonna use my thumb, just press that down. All right. So the air regress properties seem to work just like, very similar to other air regress properties, air regress within the VVivid line or any other line. So I got this really big tight bubble here now. So how does the air regress work with this? So you can see I'm just pressing it with my thumb. So you can see that this bubble is super tight, but if I keep pressing it, the air is moving elsewhere. And again, air regress means that the air is going elsewhere in the vinyl. It's not venting through. That's what those channels are. It's allowing the air to spread out. And then once it's spread out from the bubble, you can press the vinyl down even more, and it should technically allow it to just spread out until the air goes elsewhere or is fully dissipated. You can see when I pressed really hard, it pushed the air elsewhere. Again, that's where probably the smaller micro air release pattern didn't allow it to really spread out as fast, and so it just pushed a big chunk of air to the other side here. So I'm going to continue to try to press this down here if I can. And you can see that even if it's not necessarily pressing away, it is allowing me to move the air to an exit point here. So if I do that, because it is a tight bubble, you can see it's just popping, not popping, well, it's making a popping sound as the air moves elsewhere, in this case to the right. So what I could do is use that to my advantage to move any big trapped air bubbles that may let's say you're in the center of your headlight or taillight, and you're trying to get this bubble out and it just won't, you can maneuver it off to the side to an edge, pick it up now, and then just finish applying it. Just like that. Alright, so that's the demonstration of the Regress properties. It's pretty close to regular Regress properties of any other vinyl that I've seen or worked with, that whether it's VVivid, Avery 3M, Hexus, KPMF, or otherwise, or Oracal. So as far as that goes, this does act just like a regular vinyl wrap as advertised in VVivid's website for this new clear holographic headlight and taillight tint. Alright guys, so I hope this video has been helpful in giving you some insight on VVivid's new ultra gloss clear holographic headlight and taillight tint. Again, this was just meant to be a product overview, not necessarily a review or a how to apply video. So I hope that this has given you some good information on what you can expect with this new film if you're looking to try it yourself. I'm interested to hear as well if you've already bought some of this material and tried it yourself. What did you think of it? Did you like it or did you not like it? How did it apply and how did your end results come out? Drop some comments in the description below and let us know. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope this video has given you some good information that you can use if you wanted to get this product. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't, also hit that bell notification button so you get notices whenever I post new content to the channel. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.